Good evening and welcome to tonight's show. I am your host, Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and I thank you for tuning in tonight. Please like and share and put in the comments if this is your first time tuning in to the show. We would like to see, put your city and state. Let us know where you're viewing from. Also, for those of you who are weekly viewers, we thank you for returning and supporting the show. We really do. We're broadcasting live on YouTube, our YouTube page, True Blue Designs, and on our Facebook page. So please like and share and let everyone know that we're on the air. We're also, before I bring on tonight's guest, we want to say a huge thank you to last week's guest, Katrina Owens. She shared her journey to self-discovery, and she left us with a lot of good nuggets. So you can view her video on both locations, YouTube and on Facebook. Now tonight's guest is going to tell us about his inside perspective of the food truck industry and entrepreneurship. Help me give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, Mr. Travis Salley. Hello, Travis.
Hey, Tina, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing wonderful.
How's the family?
Everybody's good. Wife, dogs, everybody's good.
Yeah, wife, dogs, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for saying yes. I really appreciate it. I've been anticipating this interview, and I am just so excited. I really am to just share your story with the world. So let's start off by you just telling everyone a little bit about yourself.
Man, don't talk about myself is not really the easiest thing, but I'm originally from Columbia, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. You may even be able to see behind me, I was born in Stuttgart, Germany. I was an Army brat. Went to Eau Claire High School in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm the youngest of three. Have an older brother and an older sister. I am married, no kids. We have two dogs, Lola and Ranger. Lola is a Min Pin Rat Terrier mix, about 16 pounds. And Ranger is, we call him a Doberman Shepherd. He's about 105 pounds, so he's a big monster.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I remember when you got him. So tell us a little bit about your schooling. Where did you go to school in South Carolina?
So Eau Claire High School is one of the, I guess we'd say the inner city high schools. I was on the band. I played basketball, played football, track, won a state championship my senior year. We had a really good basketball team. It's like a fraternity there. Mm-hmm. Our coach George Limp, he won 5 state championships in the span of 7 years. So we were a basketball school. Right. After that, I joined the Navy, went to the U.S. Naval Academy Prep School in Newport, Rhode Island, to play basketball. As I was still growing, I found out that I was not as fast as I used to be. Didn't jump as high as I used to. And when I actually ended up going down to the academy in Annapolis, Maryland, I was a walk-on football player and ended up starting and becoming a letterman in my freshman year at the academy. Wow. So after finding out that I was growing too much and grew too big to be a pilot, I saw the movie Top Gun, and I wanted to be a pilot. Okay. And you know, those pilots were pretty small guys, so some of them are. So I opted to go to civilian school and going to the University of South Carolina. Then ended up getting my bachelor's degree from AIU. I got an MBA from Florida International University. So that's pretty much my schooling in a nutshell. I'm a certified mediator.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after school, what did you do after that?
So after school, well, yeah, after school, I started playing arena football.
Uh-huh.
I went to a walk-on tryout and made the squad, the Carolina Rhinos in Greenville, South
Wow.
Carolina. And I can tell you, arena football was an awesome time. This is like back in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
The Arena 2 League, which was a lower level league for, guys who hadn't played in a while. And I was probably 3 or 4 years out of college when I actually went to this walk-on tryout.
Okay.
So playing in that Arena 2 League, then I got called up to play in the Arena 1 League. So played for the Grand Rapids Rampage and then also the New Jersey Gladiators. So another good time. Loved it. Got to see the city. You feel like a little celebrity because you're getting paid to play football a little bit. But when you're in Times Square and you got New York Giants and New York Jets around, you remember your place.
I bet that was a fun experience, though.
It was an awesome experience. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah. So is the D League a walk-on league, or do they have scouts or?
So they do have. So back then, there
Mhm.
were a bunch of I call them lower level professional leagues
Okay.
for indoor football. There was a IPFL Indoor Professional Football League. Then the Arena League is the big league, but then they actually added an Arena 2 League, more of a developmental
Mhm.
opportunity to get folks into the Arena 1 League.
Okay. That is there ever a situation or ever a time where you could be in that league and maybe get called up to the NFL, or is it like
Yeah,
that?
so there are some guys who have played in the Arena League that have had successful careers in the NFL. So if you remember back in the day, the St. Louis Rams, Kurt Warner,
Mm-hmm.
their quarterback, he played for the Iowa Barnstormers, and he was a Super Bowl winning quarterback out
I
of the
did not
Arena
know
League.
that. Okay. Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of guys.
Yeah, you hear a lot of times about a D League or something like that. And I've heard about it in baseball and I've heard about it in basketball.
Yep.
But I didn't know about it in football. So that was some good information.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you are also a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. So let's talk a little bit about
You know.
that. So what what's the word? We got a brain freeze, but
What brought me to that?
what drew you to the men of Phi Beta Sigma?
So when I got to the University of South Carolina, I was probably approached by every active frat that was on the yard, and just existing and wanting something different. I didn't even go intending to even pledge,
Mm-hmm.
but just hanging around the guys in the gym, at the student union, and so on, you got to see the vibe and their brotherhood. And, you had some pretty boys, you had some rough and rugged guys, you had some academics, you had some athletes. So there was a mix of a little bit of everything. And it was effortless to be a part of them, even before I pledged.
Mm-hmm.
So we hung out, we traveled, we did those things together, and it was seamless and effortless. And I was like, you know what, these are the guys that I definitely want to be a part of.
Yeah. So you had already started the brotherhood before you got into the brotherhood.
Yes.
But that's good. I'm gonna back up just for a quick second about your military career.
Okay.
If there, there may be some young people watching this show tonight. What would you say as far as them, considering, the military as an option?
Do it. I loved my military time. Loved it. When I'm on Facebook now, it's like a reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of these folks I haven't seen since I was 18, 19 years old, but it's like we've never missed a beat.
Mm-hmm.
I got a buddy who has a restaurant, Little Red's Takeout in Seattle, Washington. He was an offensive lineman on the team. He and I talk all the time, and I haven't seen Erasto since 94, 95. Yes, since 95.
Wow.
So, and another buddy, Marty Cannon, he said he's going to be a little late to watch it, but Marty, and I told my wife, I said, I got to get down to Louisiana to see Marty. I said, I hadn't seen Marty since I was 18, but it's like we've never missed a beat. We're living vicariously through one another and seeing on Facebook, but the bonds that you make in the military, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, mine haven't been broken. You
Wow.
know, I believe that there's an opportunity to get out of your current city, to
Mm-hmm.
meet people who think different, have look different, act different, and then you all are coming together for a common bond or a common cause, which is the defense of this nation.
Right.
And the things that you do along the way, it develops you. You learn leadership, you learn discipline, you learn integrity, you learn how to develop and strengthen your character.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many upsides to it. You know, of course, you always hear horror stories and things of that nature. Oh, my recruiter didn't tell me the truth or this and that. But there's always someone who had that same story, but they persevered.
Right.
Like I said, I'm an Army brat. My dad did 21 years in the Army, did 2 tours in Vietnam. My
Mm.
brother was in the Army as well. He was in Desert Storm. My
Mm-hmm.
cousin Stephanie, she was also in Desert Storm. My cousin Tim, my cousin Cliff, my cousin Daniel was over in the sandbox as well. So there's a lot of Sallies and Rumps that have been in the military, and I can honestly say we're better for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm an Army brat too. I didn't. My father was in the military. Well, he was in the Army, and Damon followed in his footsteps. And then, my brother's oldest two kids. One was in the Navy, and one was in the. I think she was in the Air Force. But you're right that it helps you to. Sometimes when you go in, you don't know who you are, right? But it helps you find your purpose. That's something that Damon had said to me a couple of days ago. That his NCOs were telling him that your journey through the military gets better once you find your purpose.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, one thing I definitely want to tell folks, basic training or officer indoctrination, that is such a small part of your whole time in the military.
Right.
So yes, basic training, it's yelling and screaming and all that good stuff and a lot of PT. But then once you get to your discipline on what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
it's a day-to-day job to
Mm-hmm.
keep the military going with that particular service. With a lot of like human resources, personnel, you think about medics, gentlemen, cryptos, all those folks, there is, for most of them, there is a job on the other side of your military career that's directly tied into what you were doing when you were in the military.
Right.
Why
Right.
not go get a lot of this money that you can go and get your college education paid for,
Mm-hmm.
or stay in and become an officer, or choose to go to one of the academies, Naval Academy, of course. But
Plug.
there's shameless plug. But I believe the military is a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not sure, because college isn't for everybody.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
College isn't for everyone. Military is not for everyone. But give it a try.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for that, because
No problem.
I think it's important for people to hear from different people who have had those experiences. Because like you said, you hear about the bad stuff a lot of times, but that's not everybody's story, right?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So currently, you are HR director at Atlanta Technical College. And I
Yes.
want to ask you, how did your education and past job experiences prepare you for your job that you have today?
Wow. So when you think about HR and the different disciplines, there's recruiting, there's employee relations, there's payroll and benefits, and then there's just development. So early on, of course, with the military portion, I've learned discipline. I've learned how to follow rules, how to read rules and regulations, and understand and interpret and see different types of management styles.
Mm-hmm.
When I went into my retail career early on, we were responsible for posting the jobs and finding people to work in your stores and things of that nature. I've done some investigations in my retail stores, some that led to folks going to jail. So for doing some bad stuff. But
Yeah.
again, it was all a culmination to get me to where I am now.
Okay.
Having a bachelor's in business administration with a concentration in human resource management, I got an in-depth study into a lot of the laws and case studies and things that have already taken place uh, as it relates to maybe labor relations.
Mm-hmm.
Back when Walmart got into some trouble for working folks off the clock
Right.
out in California, and then some of the more recent cases where someone was denied a job because of their hairstyle and things of that nature. So doing those case studies in college definitely prepared me because as soon as you get into real HR,
Right.
those same things come up. It'll be a little variation, a different manager, a different employee, but the situations it's still the same and it's still based off of those same laws.
Right. So you being the HR director, so you're in that position, you're over, all those different pieces that you just spoke about. You actually facilitate all of those.
I have an assistant director and two generalists and an admin.
Okay.
Atlanta Technical College is about 500 employees, so not a very big shop.
Right.
I've come from some other agencies where we had 2,000 employees, where we had an employee relations section, a
Okay.
payroll and benefits section, and I've been the deputy director over those.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have a director that I work with. So when things came up, we'd have our meetings to discuss them and let them go back and push down to their employees and do their employee development. So I was more of making sure I'm leading the leaders.
Right. Right. And I think those experiences are going to really pave the way for what you're doing now. So let's talk about you being a food truck owner.
Absolutely.
What was it that led you to open up your first food truck?
So back in the 90s, I was sitting on the front porch with one of my good friends, and his godfather or his brother's godfather came out and said, "Hey, you boys want to make some money?" I said, "Sure." And he said, "Well, follow me, come on up by the school." And he had a little shack where he was making turkey wings and jambalaya and fries.
Okay.
And we tasted it. It was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And worked there for many, many, many years. It was a staple in the community, in the Eau Claire community.
Uh-huh.
It'd be a Friday night or a Saturday night. We're trying to close, and we've put the chains on the door, shutting stuff down. People still knocking, trying to get in because they want the food.
Wow.
And I said, oh my goodness, if we could ever scale this and expand, it'd be wonderful. So fast forward many, many, many years, I moved to Atlanta and I made some turkey wings for some friends at a Super Bowl party.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. When are you going to do this again? Well, it was 9 years after that when I actually did it again. And I was like, you know what? It's time. I was in a good place. I said, I really want to see how it does.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2015, I bought my first fryer.
Okay.
My mom wanted to invest, so she put some money on it. And I bought my first fryer, fried some wings in the front yard. I mean, on the driveway
Mm-hmm.
for some Super Bowl folks, and they came and got their wings, and that started the ball rolling.
Oh wow! And that was here, right? Because you were in.
That was here in Atlanta.
Okay.
Then we did a couple pop-ups in the neighborhood, and those were very, very successful.
Mm-hmm.
And the food truck really came about because I was tired of having to load my open trailer, taking the stuff out of my garage, loading up tables, loading up chairs, getting to the location, unloading all that stuff, cooking for 5-6 hours, loading it all back up,
Yeah.
and unloading it back where it goes again. And I said, if I had a food truck, all I do is pull up, cook, and leave. And that's how the truck part got started.
Wow. Good. And I know you're saying good investment. Good investment.
Very good investment. Very good investment. Um, when I told my wife that, hey, this is what I want to do, I was like, hey, I need you. And she was like, I got you.
Mhm.
So she was a big, very, very big proponent and a huge supporter, not only just financially, but emotionally, thought process wise, marketing wise, to making Blazin Cajun what it is. So we went out, got everything put together, ordered our first food truck, and 4 months later it got stolen.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I had all the security chains and all that good stuff on it. And I said, and I was thinking just even that week, we were actually going to Columbus for a Mardi Gras festival. And I said, you know what, when we get back from this festival, I already looked at it on Amazon. I said, let me go ahead and order this GPS and when we get back, I'll put it on.
Mhm.
So that Thursday when I went to go pick the trailer up to start prepping, I drove to my storage location and there was no truck there. I said, okay, did I leave it somewhere? And I mean, this thing is 18 feet
Right.
long by 8.5 feet wide. And I'm like, where is it? And yeah, panic, panic set in. I went to the office and told the storage manager. I said, I need to see your videotape for the past couple of weeks. Show me where it is. Called the police. Got a police report. Had insurance. Key. Had insurance.
Good.
Uh, Filed my claim. They paid for the new trailer. As soon as the new trailer came in, actually, I ordered the GPS tracker before I went down to go pick up the trailer. So when I went to go pick the new trailer up, I already had the tracker installed and all that good stuff.
So let's talk about the company that you chose to purchase your food truck. If you could talk a little bit about why you chose that particular company and the research that you did.
Okay. So I use SDG Trailers, Southern Dimensions Group trailers out of Waycross, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at their website and I really liked their style.
Mm-hmm.
There's another company called SLE Equipment out of Tennessee, and I looked at theirs as well. And I was also looking at a company that's out of Thompson, Georgia. I was thinking, where can I go get a trailer made that's not going to take me forever to get there and get back,
Mm-hmm.
that has a good price, and the most important thing will listen to me.
Okay.
Because the place in Thompson, when I said, hey, I need a breakdown of what these individual items cost, they were like, no, we just give you one price for the trailer. I said,
No.
appreciate your time. Thank you. Have a good one.
Okay.
Because I know how much these equipment costs.
Right.
Two, I understand the builder's going to get some markup on it,
Mm-hmm.
but I need to know what that markup is.
Mm-hmm.
So just don't tell me the trailer's $30,000 and you spent, 11,000 on this equipment. I
Mm-hmm.
need to kind of understand that part. I wanted someone who would listen because there are certain types of equipment and quality and things of that nature that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
They have their standard stuff that they put in them, but I went to them and said, hey, I want American range fryers. I want American range stove. I want this type of refrigerator, this type of freezer, because when I'm cooking, and I'll give you a little inside baseball, BTUs. I wanted a high BTU fryer because when you put cold fries in it, you need that temperature to get back up as fast as possible. If
Okay.
you have low BTU fryers, which end up being cheaper, those things take forever. So when you're frying, it's like, why is it taking so long to start bubbling up again? So uh, that's why I wanted the equipment that I wanted. And STG were the only ones who would actually listen and say, hey, we can or we can't. Tell me why you want this, maybe, and help us understand. And they did it. They gave me everything that I wanted. I was able to do multiple layouts and designs with them. They gave me like AutoCAD drawings.
Wow.
You put I said, I need electrical outlets here, 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 here. and they put it on AutoCAD. I need a vent hood this big. So they were very, very thorough and detailed with it. So that's why I chose them.
Okay, and they're in Waycross, Georgia.
Waycross, Georgia, yes.
Yeah, okay. And I didn't know, through knowing you, I knew. Now I know. But I didn't know that you can custom design them. Because usually when you hear about someone starting a food truck business, you're thinking about the non-customized food trucks. You know what I'm talking about? The ones almost like the ice cream man.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's what, I thought about until I was discussing it with you, and you were like, no, I'm getting mine custom design. And when I saw it, I was just floored. It is beautiful.
Yeah, you can say, I want this much counter space. I want these triple sinks. I want this. I want that. Whatever they like, they are so thorough with what they do. Like, they build bunkhouse trailers. So for those folks who go to barbecue competitions who spend the night, they can put a bed, they can put a shower, put a toilet, all that in the trailer on one side. Then next thing you got the kitchen, then you got your barbecue porch. So those guys, they build it from the ground up. The only thing they purchase pre-made are the axles.
Wow.
But they build the frame, they build the walls, everything.
It sounds like a souped up RV, because I've seen some of those RVs that, you put the button and the bed comes out, or it extends the living room area. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on what your dollars are, they'll do it.
Well, yeah, you're about right. So I'm sure that situation just rocked your world, that it ended up getting stolen. So let's talk about it. If there's someone that is watching that is interested in getting into the food truck business, how important is it for you to lay your foundation as far as getting your insurance, get everything that you do, your certifications and all of that? Because like you said, you were upset when it was stolen, but you quickly went into autopilot because you knew that you were covered.
Right. So it's paramount to have your footing in what you're doing. One, if you're buying an asset, you need to insure that asset. There's a lot of folks out there who provide insurance. There's a place called insuremyfood.com, Hiscox for business liability insurance, Blue Hills Insurance. So if you Google, food truck insurance, plenty of places will come up and you can check to see what's going to work best for you. But then also your licensing.
Yeah.
Check with your municipalities. You can go to your county, and typically it's your county's website, if you're in Georgia, that handles food service inspections. And they'll give you a very detailed and laid out instructions on how to get certified or to get your business certified and what the requirements are. Most of them have seminars and webinars and that kind of thing so that you can go to an orientation on getting started. There's also in Atlanta, the Food Truck Coalition that you can join, and they help walk you through getting your business started and give you leads and things of that nature. And their commissaries or base of operations, which all food trucks require, that also do that for you. They'll actually, if you sign on with them, they will actually file all your paperwork. They will help you get all your permits. If you need to get your Serve Safe food handler training, they'll handle that for you as well. And if you bring, your equipment and you pay them, your membership fee to that particular commissary, a lot of them do all that work for you to get you started. But if you are just doing your research initially, your county website, look for environmental health or food service, and those things will get you in the game to get you started.
Okay, so you start at your county.
Yes.
Okay.
So the state Department of Public Health pretty much creates the regulations that all those counties follow when it comes to environmental health.
Okay. Yeah. I got you, because I was thinking you were going to say state. Yeah. I got you. They're the rule regulator.
Correct. Correct.
I got you. So, where are some ideal places that you like to vend?
Me personally, I
Mm-hmm.
like small town festivals.
Mm-hmm.
That was the purpose of me buying the food truck, was to actually just do festivals.
Mm-hmm.
One, festivals have a crowd. They're going to be there and they're going to eat.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a good product and good service and you can get it to them fast, you're going to make money.
Okay.
So I've done the Fairburn Fall Festival, the Hapeville Happy Days Festival. I've done a couple of college homecomings
Mm-hmm.
because very captive audience.
Mm-hmm.
What I look for are vendor fees that are about $250 and less.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that comes to the city of Atlanta. As soon as you say food truck, it's 500, 1,000, $1,500. Then, or how big is your rig? And then you're talking $2,500. Now, granted, if I need to pay $2,500 to do the Sweetwater 420 Festival, where there's going to be 30, 40,000 people, I'm going to make that money back.
Right.
But then on the business side and the service side, am I going to be able to replenish my truck multiple times during the course of the day
Oh
so
yeah.
that I can continue serving all day long?
Okay.
So those are some of the things that I think about when I'm choosing a festival. You know, how big is it? How many people are going to come to my window? And can I serve everyone that comes to my window during the open time of the festival?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Has there ever been a situation where you pulled up and to serve people and the demand was more than what you anticipated?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I've gone now. Now I've had the flip side where I pulled up and they said, "Oh, we're going to have this many hundreds of people, and there's no one there walking around." So we kept on going.
Wow.
Yeah, I said, you know what? I'll go ahead and donate that $100 because I'm gonna waste more money being here feeding, 15 people over a course of 5 hours.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. And in that situation, what do? You just, take the food back home and freeze it or
So, or you find another location.
well, that's true because you are mobile. Yeah.
Yeah, you're mobile. You find another location where you can go ahead and still make your money. And that's a big key. And I'm glad I have this little forum because a lot of folks don't understand how food trucks actually operate.
Okay.
Everyone wants to call a food truck. Oh, I want a food truck to come to my kid's birthday party. No, we're not coming. And it's not a mean thing, but you have 25, 30 guests that are coming to your house, You want me to bring my food truck to your house for me to serve 10, 15, 20 people.
Right.
I'm going to spend more money in prep
Mm-hmm.
and all that before I even turn a profit. And, a lot of us have set costs. If we're going to do something like that, we're going to say, hey, I need a $750 deposit
Mm-hmm.
for me to come out. And then whatever your sales are up to that point, you'll just owe the difference.
Right. Right.
So, but a lot of folks want us to come to little small events, and we're not being mean when we don't want to do your event, but what's good for you may not be good for us.
Right. Right. And I think again, some people, have in mind, the food truck like the ice cream people, or something like that. And I think, am I correct in saying that there's a difference in a food truck and a mobile kitchen? Because now that, it seems like it should be another title onto it because you're not the typical food truck of what we know.
Right.
We've seen, growing up as a food truck. You're totally different.
I am. So most food trucks that you see that were old UPS trucks or old UPS vans or whatever, they typically just have cooking equipment. They
Okay.
don't have like storage, like they don't have big refrigerators, they don't have big freezers the way my mobile kitchen does.
Right.
My unit is completely self-contained. I can do everything that I need to on that one truck. I have a prep sink for meats and vegetables. If I need to wash dishes, I got triple sinks that are used that I can wash all my pots and pans. With a 20 plus cubic foot refrigerator, 20 plus cubic foot freezer, I can now travel. I can load up, travel, go, and not need to stop somewhere to prep my food
Mhm.
in a shared kitchen space.
Right. Right. So that's what I'm saying. Huge difference.
Very, very big difference.
Yeah, so I think when you words, and if somebody says food truck, that's what I would have thought too. So yeah, can you come and serve my child's birthday party? But then
Right.
when I look on your website and I see this huge thing, I'm like, no, I don't think I want him.
And the thing about it is, even those food truck trucks,
Mm-hmm.
it's also the same thing for them,
Mm-hmm.
because now they got to go rent their space, or if they're, whatever they're doing as far as their base of operation, they need to go prep that amount of food
Mm-hmm.
and then put it on their truck and come out to your location and cook.
Right.
Sometimes you'll even have event organizers who want as many food trucks as they can get. I'm sorry, I'm not going to come to your event, not because I don't want to, but when there are 7 food trucks for 200 people, when
Mm-hmm.
you do the math, it's not financially beneficial. I look for the win-win all the time. Hey, I want to come to your event, but how many trucks are you going to have? How many people have you historically had? And then also I want to talk to those vendors who were there before, to find out, are they telling me the truth?
Right. That's true. That's true. They'll tell you something to get you to come, and then
Absolutely. I
then
need
you're
reference.
very upset.
I need references.
I hear you. So, what are some of the likes and dislikes that you have concerning the mobile kitchen or the food truck industry?
One, regulation. So I'm in Fulton County.
Mhm.
So my operating rent stuff is Fulton County. If I
Okay.
go to Cobb County, then I need to go through their process to have a Cobb County license, Gwinnett County, DeKalb County. Um,
Okay, I didn't know that.
However, there are some not loopholes, but there are some situations where if there's a event, you can get a temporary permit for a particular day to actually operate. So there's a
Okay.
fee for that versus getting the full annual license, and having to get full inspections and all that good stuff. So it just varies from location to location.
Hmm.
Um, I can, I'll spill this. There's a lot of renegades out there who just go.
Yeah.
um, but the key and the biggest key to all of it is, are you serving food safely?
Right.
Is your food being kept at the proper temperature? Is it being refrigerated and stored at the properly? Are you washing your hands? Do you have enough utensils? So that's truly the main premise behind all the regulations when it comes to food trucks and
Hmm.
even restaurants in general. Are you going to keep people safe?
Right.
Because food will get people sick and it
Hmm.
will get you sued.
Right. Quick.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Quick. So you gotta be safe. Gotta be
absolutely.
safe. So let me ask you this. Are you allowed to, and I know you store it off site, but are you allowed to store the food truck at your private residence, or does it have to be stored off site?
So it's going to depend on your county
Oh, okay.
and then also your HOA, if
Well,
you live in an HOA community.
yeah, that's true.
One, I wouldn't want my food truck at my house.
Hmm.
So I do store it at a facility that has the dump station, the fresh water station, compressed air so I can check my tires all the time,
Okay.
24-hour video surveillance. Um, I want Fort Knox.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a cost of doing business. So
Yes,
yeah. Okay. I was wondering about that because I wondered if, if you didn't have an HOA and you had, a nice fenced in backyard, I wondered if people store them at home or.
I've I've seen that happen.
Oh,
I've seen some before because with that base of operation, I've seen folks use a backyard shed as their base of operation. So an inspector is going to look at what you have in your truck
hmm
and says, do they have enough stuff to keep this unit clean?
hmm
So do you have a mop sink at home or outside? Because again, you need to mop and keep your floors clean. Do you have a triple sink on your truck? If not, do you have a triple sink at your commissary? So they look to make sure that if it's not on the truck, it's at your base of operation.
Right.
So if you can create that base of operation in your house, in your backyard, or you walled off a portion of your garage that's separate, dedicated, and can be permitted and inspected under your local laws or whatever, that's fine. But they have companies like Prep Atlanta
hmm
that already have pre-permitted spaces, all that stuff already set up, storage and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I had a friend that lived in Conyers with me, and I remember that she was trying to start um, doing something at her. I think, oh, catering. It was catering. She was going to start catering. And she went to the county, and just like you said, they told her, they said, no, you can't prep at your house. We need you to have it. You need to find somewhere to prep. So she was scrambling to try to find somewhere to prep. And, she couldn't find, I think she had an event coming up. And so because she couldn't find it quickly, she had to cancel on that event and making money. But you're right. It's all about your county. So you really need to start at your county.
Yes. And that's also one of the things, there's a lot of meal preppers that do it out of their home kitchens and
Mhm.
they just want to be, and it's not a money grab, but the county and the state, they want to make sure that you have this level of sanitation and food safety going on at all times. So that's why they really don't allow it to happen in your home kitchen.
Right. Yeah. And then can you just Google food prep to find different locations?
Yeah, you can Google food commissary or base or food truck base of operation. There's not a lot, but
Very
there are some.
food truck based operations. Okay, I'm writing notes.
Okay.
Taking my notes. So, those of you who are watching, we are talking to Travis Salley, the owner of Blazin Cajun Turkey Wings. And if you have any questions for Travis, please put them in the comments and we'll make sure that he gets a chance to answer them before the end of the show. So, what are some of your long term goals for your company?
One, I want to scale this to a point where I'm doing more to help other businesses or
Mhm.
other entrepreneurs get into the business.
Okay.
There's easily 6 other food truck owners that I've provided some type of mentorship or a little counseling or guidance to that are now in the business.
Really?
So at some point, I just want to, I want to make sure I focus on that. I would love to have someone I can pass this business on to continue to grow it
Right.
because people love the food and I love doing it. I love the smiles on folks' faces. I saw a couple of comments from some of my friends. One said, "Hey, can't wait to get there to taste your wings," and another guy, one of my Navy buddies, hadn't seen since I was 18.
Oh, wow.
He's ordered. Jonathan has ordered maybe six to 10 turkeys from me over the course of the year. So I do deep fried turkeys during the holidays.
Okay.
So definitely want to keep, that portion of the business going, continue doing pop-ups and festivals, eventually get a booth at a fair because it's a hard 12 to 14 days at state fairs and county fairs and that kind of thing.
hmm
But the money is very, very good if you're able to meet the demand of the fair.
Okay. Because they have the fair in Perry, Georgia every year. And my
So
dad
yeah,
likes to go just for the food.
absolutely.
That's it.
So to even get And my friend Rick is asking when am I coming back to Greenville, South Carolina. I'll have to find a way to bring the truck up there to you, Rick. But to even get into the fair at Perry, you have to do other fairs to get notoriety and recognition for those spots. So the people who have, established locations there, they're not giving them up. And the fair's not going to change them out for some newbie who they don't know is going to do anything. So there's a little fair circuit that you get on to even get the notoriety to make it to the fair in Perry.
Now, I did not know that. Now, there's a fair that goes on at the Atlanta Speedway. What about that?
So again, similar situation. It's not first come, first serve. They will accept your application, but then they also do their research on, what people say about your business. And they ask about your replenishment process and all that. So it's very competitive.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this: Have you ever had to tweak your menu to suit the needs of your customers?
No, and I'm not going to.
Okay.
So I'll tell you this: I cook what I cook, and what I make is not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. I've tested my recipes. The folks who love it, they buy it, and it's successful. We have variations. So if you want a turkey wing, you can get it Cajun lemon pepper, or you can get it plain, no seasoning at all. That's about as much variation that I'm going to do. I get folks ask all the time, oh, you should do mac and cheese. Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that. The key, yes, no vegan turkey wings. So the key is, especially when you have a food truck, is have a menu that you can turn the food out. Because if I'm now going from mac and cheese to collard greens back to red beans and rice, I'm going to end up with a lot of waste at the end of the day. And then there's not a lot of room in that truck. Okay. I mean, it's big, but then when you add 3 to 4 people in there, having to be able to get the macaroni and cheese out, to be able to serve it, I want it hot. My wife will tell you, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my stuff.
Okay.
If the French fries have gotten, a little too cold for me, I dump the pan out. I have a level of that I want to make sure all my food goes out at.
Okay.
So we do 2 proteins. You get shrimp or you get turkey wings. You get red beans and rice, you get fries. And for those who want salads or something green to go with their turkey wing, we have salads. That's it. When I go to a place, I can do a really decent job of turning that out. Mm-hmm. But if I have turkey wings, pork chops, po' boys, all these other things, now you're not able to change over to get that product out in a reasonable amount of time.
Okay, so I heard you mention shrimp.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't know you had shrimp. So is it a shrimp po' boy or just shrimp and fries, or what is it?
Both.
See, I didn't know that.
You can get a shrimp po' boy, or you can get a shrimp basket with fries.
Okay. All right. Where are you going to be at next? Where's your next event?
Working on the next pop-up. It will definitely be sometime in May, but it'll be posted on our Instagram and our Facebook and our website.
Somebody just said iodine poisoning.
So many shrimp, yeah.
Somebody, Shepherd Michael said, them shrimp are amazing.
We talked about why I joined Phi Beta Sigma, but these are my chapter brothers from Xi Chi Sigma.
Okay.
And again, I joined them because they reminded me so much of my undergrad chapter.
Right.
Great brothers. Those guys support me. If I post that I'm going to be somewhere, they're coming in droves.
Right. And that's good. That's good. It's good that you have that support, that in-house support.
Absolutely.
When operating the food truck, you've had to really become adapted to using social media. So let's talk about that.
Okay. I use Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, a little bit of Twitter,
Okay.
and we have a website.
Okay.
So our mode is we create a flyer for the day that we're going to operate. We'll put it there, and we also use our group me in our neighborhood, and then also our Nextdoor app. So Nextdoor will reach a lot of households that aren't in my immediate area, but will still in a good driving distance to come see us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, everyone knows when the flyer's up, my friends and the supporters, they share it to their networks, and that's how it all happens. Like there's no mail flyers or any of that nature. It's all social media as it comes to marketing the business.
Okay. Yeah, I was watching some videos, and they were saying that they really had to hone in on their social media skills,
Mm-hmm.
and because that's basically your advertising lifeline, when you have a food truck, right?
Yeah.
Because that gets the audience out there, and it draws them to you and keeps them abreast of where you are, so they can
Absolutely.
always follow you. So yeah, I was watching that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, it works out, and I'm still, because I still work full time. I'm
Right.
probably using social media to about 30 to 50% of its capacity
Yeah.
to affect our business. So there will be more videos. There'll be more lives of seeing the folks eating the food. So we're getting there. With us working full time, we only operate on a Saturday for the
Okay.
most part, maybe
Mhm.
a Friday if we're going out of town. But the key is to one, keep us viable without creating a demand that we can't meet,
Right.
which leads to customer disappointment.
Right. And that's true. You don't want to overpromise and underdeliver.
Absolutely.
Right. That'll kill you quick.
Oh yeah. But when I do take the truck back home to Columbia, South Carolina, my high school alumni folks, they eat everything off my truck. They leave the wheels, but everything else is gone. And they know I love them.
So what is the furthest that you've driven to vend?
3.5 hours to Columbia, South Carolina.
That's the furthest. Okay.
So that Friday night, I did a vending. It was actually my birthday in 2019, pre-pandemic. So that Friday night, we vended right by the high school. Most of my classmates or folks I went to school with, they're now captains and chiefs with the police and the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
So there's fire trucks, there's police cars. Then there's all my other classmates who I went to school with who just showed up. And I actually had to shut down early because they were going to eat all the food I was supposed to sell on Saturday at the homecoming event. So
that's a good problem.
It's a really good problem to have. One, by having a really good product, and people really just don't understand how their social media presence plays a part. Their personal social media presence plays a part in this. I'm not going to get into political debates.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get into the drama stuff on Facebook, because again, that affects your business. People see that, they don't want to do business with you.
Right.
Not that I'm not for the movements and things of that nature, but you have to keep your business and that personal separated, because it's going to affect one or the other.
Right. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because a lot of people don't understand that. They think that when you're in business, that your personal is your personal and your business is your business, but really they're one and the same.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So what people watch on this side affects you on this side.
Yeah, if you're mean guy or mean girl in all these groups or these other food groups, and then you want to come in there and you want to say, hey, come support me, they're not coming to mess with mean guy.
Mm-mm. 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 You know, Adelia used to always tell me, she said that you get more views than likes, right? And you never know who's watching you.
Absolutely.
So I think that was a very valid point, that when you're in business, you have to watch that.
Absolutely.
You have to be cognizant of that and what you put out there. Not like you said, not that you're not for those causes,
Right.
but you have to be very strategic in how you support,
Absolutely.
right? Because it could have an adverse effect on your business.
You know, I've had some conversations with some folks that say, well, you're not talking about this or you're not saying anything about that. And I understand. And you can think whichever way you want to about me because I may not vocalize that on social media, but I have a brand
That's
that I'm trying to build and protect. It doesn't mean I'm not any less impacted by what's going on, but for me to move this in my small little fishbowl, I need to make sure it's still viable.
right, right. And I think there's a time and a place for you to be vocal,
Absolutely.
about those things. And if you choose not to do that on on social media, we were talking about this last week, that some people just put too much information out on social media. They don't leave anything to imagination. And then they get upset because they get treated or stereotyped or grouped a certain way. But they don't understand that if you go back and you look at what you put out there, that's how these people form their opinion about you.
Absolutely.
So, and then by you being in business, you really have to be careful, because like we were talking about earlier, you going for governmental contracts. Let's talk about this in HR, because we're just this right here, get ready to tie it all together. Now, I found out that when you interview, part of the interview process, now I don't know how you do it and you ain't got to tell us, but part of the interview process, HR checks social media somehow, some way, right? So if they're checking social media to try to figure out your character before they hire you, then other people, lenders, funders, governmental agencies, they're checking that type of stuff to see what type of person they're about to get in business with. How important is that, Travis?
Your digital footprint is paramount
Digital footprint.
because as soon as you step, it's out there forever. I mean, you can delete some stuff, but someone has screen grabbed it, someone has it somewhere, and the thing is, when is it going to surface?
Not that, but when.
But not, yeah, exactly. When is it going to surface? Because it's going to surface.
Yeah.
If you look at my Facebook page, it's about Lola and Ranger. It's about Blazin Cajun, Phi Beta Sigma, Eau Claire High School, United States Naval Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Family, a little bit of family.
Mm-hmm.
That's my social media presence, and I keep it that way on purpose.
Right. Yeah, your digital footprint. Vicki Pearson said one day, I was talking to her and she was saying, the internet is unforgiving.
Right, very much so.
Very
I'm sorry. The little birdie on my shoulder, Michael Shepard, he mentioned the Broncos. And yes, the Denver Broncos.
And the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
Well, we're almost to the end of the broadcast, but if anybody has any comments or if anybody has any questions, put them in the comments. So we want to make sure that Travis answers your question before the end of the show. This has been great. I am just so excited. I am just, I haven't had it in a while, so I'm gonna have to come. You okay? So you said you have the turkey. I'm trying to get the menu down. So you have the shrimp, you have the turkey wings, and then you have the fries and jambalaya.
Red beans and rice.
Red beans and rice. And was there anything else on the menu? Salad. Okay, so you have a very slim, simple menu, like you said, so that you can handle the
volume.
The volume, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
So
So
let me scroll through here. I'm scrolling through the comments to
okay,
see if I
okay.
missed
Yeah,
anybody.
you see anybody any comments?
One, my Jonathan Sims, who ordered a million turkeys from me. One of my scuba dive buddies who wants to come down for some wings. A couple of my classmates from high school.
Let me ask you one question. The deep fried turkeys. So
Yes.
how much time in advance do people, or how can people contact you if they want special food like that? So do they website, or do they call, what, email, or how do they do that?
So I do the turkeys in for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. So when I do them, I'll post. We'll do it. We do a flyer, and then I actually turn on the online ordering feature. So you
Okay.
prepay for your turkey, and I have a cutoff time. And please understand that cutoff time is a little early because I know as soon as I turn it off, 20 people are gonna say I still want to get a turkey.
Right.
So we do our best to accommodate. So it's always online. You prepay, and then the pickup location is online. So
Okay.
depending on how our travel plans are for the particular holiday, if my wife is heading to South Carolina, I'll actually sell some for Columbia, South Carolina, and I will cook those turkeys that morning. She takes them to Columbia, and folks get their birds and they have them ready for Thanksgiving.
Okay, and Michael Shepard has one question. What type of license do you need for a food truck?
So for a food truck, one, you're going to need a business license from your local municipality.
Okay.
You're going to need a food service permit. Either it's going to come from the county or the state, depending on or however your municipality has it. It's important to get your ServSafe certification as a food safety manager, because a lot of times when you're getting your permit and your permit scores, that's actually accounts for 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
That you need to have someone on site who is ServSafe certified. But for the most part, as long as you have your food service permit, business license, I mean, you're going to need your sales tax ID number, a lot of other things that are out there that you can get, but those are the basics. Food service permit, business license, ServSafe.
Okay. Okay, serve safe. We're at the end of the show, and Travis, thank you so much for saying yes and allowing me to interview you. I'm going to allow you after the show to contact Alton to see how he can get his turkey to Florida for the
Yeah.
holiday. Everyone, I thank you. It has been such a treat. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is Tina Dawson, your host and the owner of True Blue Designs, and we will see you next Wednesday, same time, same place. Good night.